There, coming back at you with an action figure review. Now, I haven't done a review in a while because I've been kind of busy with college stuff and it's kind of kept me waylaid, so I do apologize in advance for not kind of keeping up to date on things. But today we are going back to Hawkins and we're having a look at another Hunt and Battle Stranger Things figure set from Jazwares. Now this is the Squawk, WSQK Squawk van. This comes with a exclusive version. Well, I'm not sure if it's exclusive. There might be a single carded version of him down the line, but so far this is the only way to get the Steve figure. So you have that figure is with the set, but this is how it is packaged. Steve is actually up here in a little bubble thing in front, and the little accessory that he comes with, which we'll get into in a minute, is there. But I'm going to move him off to the side for now just so I can swing the box around without him flying out. So the vehicle is held in place with kind of plasticky clips. As you can see, it is loose. I have opened it up and I have messed around with it, but it is held kind of like this, and then you just take these plastic things off and you're able to do it. Open it up. So for the gimmick on this, it is the Squawk van playset, and then that is this with Steve Harrington, or Steve the Mullet Harrington. It's vehicle and playset. They have freewheeling on this, and it's basically just a World of Stranger Things scale. If I flip around the side, you can just see how it is packaged. It is an open window box packaging, and then it just showcases the van and what it can do on the back. And as I said, this is from Jazwares. Sorry if the light is reflecting off this, but you have a picture of Steve down in the corner with the rear doors open, the whole roof open, so it's how you get access to the driver's compartment. But we'll have a look at that. So I'm going to pause this here. I'll get everything out of its box and we'll get cracking on the vehicle. Now, just before I proceed, I will say that I am going to do upload two reviews together. One is for this, and then the other one is for a Jazwares World. It's an older set, but it's another vehicle related set, so we'll have a look at that as well. So I might do a comparison between the twos when I get to the second one. So pause there, bear with me, we'll be right back. So here is Steve and the van in all its glory outside of the packaging, and we will start with having a look at the Steve Harrington figure. So before I do anything, I'll just do a size comparison with the only other figure I have from this particular line, which is the Dustin figure. So you can see the height. You can then see that Steve does stand taller than Dustin, as he should be, because he is older, even though the characters and the kids in the series have actually gotten taller and obviously have aged and gotten taller. But you can see there's still a small height difference or discrepancy between them. Although I think I only watched the series season 5 recently, the first part of season 5, and I don't think there's that much height difference between the two actors now. I could be wrong. Someone might be able to correct me in the comments below, but I don't believe there's that much of a height difference between the actor who plays Dustin and the actor who plays Steve now. But it is what it is. We'll just move Dustin off to the side, bring in the good old tape measure, so you can see. You see Steve stands just around the 4-inch mark. It is his trademark hair, giving him that extra height. For articulation wise, we'll go through his accessory. He's singular accessory, which is a kind of weird choice. For articulation, his head is on a ball joint. It is a bit weird. I'm not sure if the likeness looks like the actor. Again, the likenesses are kind of hit and miss on this figure line. Mine has a bit of paint blemishes from the hair paint, looks like, on one of his cheeks. But it is on a ball joint, so it can swivel around, and then there's a hinge. As you can see, the hinge is quite evident. It's not so much noticeable on the Dustin figure. In fact, did Dustin have a hinge? Yeah, Dustin's head does have a hinge, but because of the way his hair goes down the back of his head and his neck is lower, it's not as noticeable as the one on Steve's. His arms can go out that much to a T-pose. They can rotate all the way around. They have a single jointed elbow with a swivel. He has a swivel in the wrist. Does he have? He has the hinge in the wrist. So he only has in out instead of up down on the wrist. I think it's the same on both. Yeah, he just has the in out. I suppose up down. He can do the splits that much, the Van Damme splits, because he doesn't have anything hindering, unlike Dustin. The trench coat on Dustin kind of does tend to hinder his articulation of it. He can do this. He can sit. He does have a single jointed knee. I haven't actually moved this figure much since I got it. In fact, I just got him and chucked him in the back of the van, because the main reason I got the van I will showcase in a little bit, because it is quite a interesting van from a customization point of view. He does have the ankle rocker ankle and a hinge. So and there is one peg hole on his left foot. So if I can find a peg here, there is a peg on one of these Fortnite stands that I use as my thing. He can stand into one of those, not too bad. So for his singular accessory, I don't know how this is coming across on screen, but he comes with a tiny squeezy rubber chicken. It is tiny. It is almost as small as Dustin's accessories. An easily lost accessory. In fact, I almost thought I had lost it, because I had it in his hand when I chucked him into the van, and I could not find it when I opened the van, and it was only just by pure dumb luck, because the van has a sliding door. There is this tray inside here. It was actually squished in behind that. So if you are storing him in the van with that thing in his hand, just beware that it could be rolling around the place and get loose and just flop all over the place. So that is a good segue for us to have a look at the van, the Squawk. So the paint apps are quite nice on this. The headlamps are painted on. They're not like a clear plastic or anything like that. Same with the ones on the back. There is a number plate on the front, but there doesn't appear to be one on the back, at least not on mine. I'm not sure if there's supposed to be one. I don't know if it's a sticker. It does look like a sticker on mine. I could be wrong. It could be a paint app, but I'm not sure if it's missing or it's intentionally left off on the rear door. I haven't checked out any other reviews of this. You have Rockin' Hawkins, you have the WSQK 94.5 FM, the Squawk, and what I love about this van, it has rear opening doors, which is a rare enough thing for vans for this scale. Sometimes a lot of companies that do like vans in the 1/18 or the 1/18 or the 4-inch scale or 3 3/4 scale tend to like have the rear door locked. I'll bring in one such van as a showcase for what I mean later on. Now the sliding door, it does appear to have a sliding door panel on both sides, but only one side opens. But it makes sense, because as I opened it, and you might be able to see in fact if I open up the roof, as the whole roof opens up, and that is how you gain access to the kind of inside. The entire opposite panel is basically covered with gear. Now unfortunately there's no paint apps on those, so it is a little disappointing. You could, if you wanted to go to town, and it would be easy enough to do, you'd have to probably disassemble the van. Now the disassembly for the van, it would be easy enough. It's just held together with a couple of screws, well, multiple screws on the back or on the bottom. But I imagine taking this out would be easy enough. And I think on mine, I actually have a slight kind of issue. I'm not sure if you can see it there, but it's not flush to the wood paneling on the bottom of this on this side. So I do think mine has a slight issue. I have a feeling there does look like there's supposed to be a slot that little clip holds into, but it's not actually hollowed out. So I think it might have been a miscasting when they made the floor paneling. It does look like it has wooden floor paneling, and then in the series, I think this is wooden paneled along the side and it has all the stuff. You have a little table with a microphone, and it's all the kind of equipment they're using for tracking other characters and stuff. I won't get into spoilers, but it's just like a tracking van, basically. One of the other interesting things on this van, if I open up the inside, there is these two straps that basically are on a hinge. There's a hinge up here. There's two straps on this hinge, and it looks big, so I'm pretty sure it's not for one of the characters. In fact, I'll just grab someone off screen. I don't think it's for a person. I think what it is for one of the Demogorgon figures. Unfortunately, I don't have my Demogorgon figure to hand, but I think it's for, like, so far, and I'm not saying as a spoilers because it could happen, it may not happen, but they've used the van a few times. It's been kind of a prominent character, to say, but they did use it for a certain scene, but I don't think that that's what this is intended for. But it does look like you could trap I think it's just a play feature that you can trap one of the Demogorgons in it. Again, that might come into play later in the other two parts of the season that are coming out, that they trap a Demogorgon for whatever reason, or if they use it to trap Vecna himself. Who knows? It hasn't aired, so I am just spitballing and coming up with, you know, possibilities why it has that feature on it. For it to get good old Steve into the driver's seat, you kind of have to get him into a seated position, obviously. You can get his hands into, you can kind of bend his hands to get them into kind of more grip around the steering wheel, and then you just kind of squish him in. It is interesting to note just that the wheel wells do kind of get in the way of the feet, so if you're putting them in, you have to kind of angle it so that they go into the actual seated area where the pedals would be. The wheel wells for each wheel on either side do kind of get in the way a small bit, so if we close everything up, the door is closed. Come on. Click and click. I won't put this little squawky accessory in. I'm going to put that aside, and I hopefully will not lose it. But you can see two people quite comfortably in the front of this thing. There is no rear windows, but the other feature, I suppose, on this is this radar dish that can fold down, and basically, again, it comes into play in the actual series, so it is worth noting that it does kind of do this in the series. Now, mine has a little paint blemish here. I'm not sure if it seems a bit sticky, so I could have dropped some tea on it or something. I've had it for a little while, so I don't think that's I don't think that was factory. I think it was something I accidentally added to it while messing around with it. So I'm going to pause here for a second. I'm going to see if I can dig out the other van I want to show as a comparison for another iconic 80s style van. I'm going to bring in, well, the film it came out in wasn't 80s, but the van from the original TV show was from the 80s. And ironically, this is also a van that was produced by Jazwares in a tie-in for the actual movie figure line. And some people may already know where I'm going. Here is the GMC iconic BA Baracus van from the A-Team. Now, this is the one based on the A-Team movie, so it's probably a slightly more updated version than the one that was used in the 80s, but it still has that kind of iconic look to it with the two-tone paint apps. So you have the silver and the black trim, and then you have the red stripe. Which, interesting ironic story is the original van never had the red stripe, but because they were using so many of them and the top was getting damaged, they resprayed it kind of silver, and I believe it was Mr. T said that BA wouldn't drive something like that, so he got basically just red tape and just taped a red line around it, and that's where the kind of iconic red lining for the van came with. But as I was saying, this one has actually functional doors on the driver's side, whereas this one doesn't. And then you have again a sliding door on the same side. With the sliding door in this one is intentionally supposed to be detachable, but there is a tray for it to run along, or a thing for it to run along. But as I was saying, with this one, if I swing her around the back, This one does not have the opening double doors at the back, whereas the Hawkins one does. So it is interesting to that there. They have dipped into doing almost in-scale vans. This one does feel a little smaller, as it does look a little smaller compared to the 18 van. You can see the 18 van, the roof is actually slightly taller, even though this thing is in the way of it. And it is slightly longer, I believe, if we do wheel to wheel. So the 18 van, I know it's hard to see on this, the 18 van does poke out a little bit further. In fact, if I put the Hawkins one behind it, it might make it a bit more noticeable. You see the 18 one completely covers it. So it is interesting to note that this is slightly a bit more chunkier, bigger, maybe a bit more in scale, in world scale than this one. So getting that out of the way, I'm just going to open the roof and grab old Stevie out. One of the reasons I picked this up and I really wanted it is because I believe it is a perfect representation, or not perfect representation, but a perfect in scale for April. And if you wanted to, you could really customize this and turn it into a Channel 6 news van. Even the stuff inside it, you wouldn't have to modify it too much. You know, I'm just going to throw this guy in as her faithful driver slash cameraman. But you could have April O'Neil and the Channel 6 van if you were willing to get like a multiple or an extra one of these and just repaint it. It would work quite cool. And you even have the gubbins on the top for a what would be kind of like a news van with the radar dish for signal sending signals and stuff. So it does work quite nicely in that respect. The only thing I'd say that might be a bit of an issue trying to remove maybe the paint apps here for the Hawkins on the glass, on well, the plexiglass, plastic glass on the front window. The other ones, because these are just painted on and it's just painted over with gloss black, you could get away with just respraying a gloss black over this or painting it black and then redoing it, and then it would take a little bit of work, but I believe you could make a really cool Channel 6 news van out of this. So there you go, guys. I'm going to wrap this review, figure slash playset slash vehicle review up here. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I hope you found it informative. And as always, please hit that like button. It does go a long way to helping me support the channel, and it does go a long way helping me to get notifications that people actually enjoy my videos and give me the motivation to make more stuff for you. So hope you enjoyed it. As always, thanks for watching, and thanks for watching to the end if you stuck around, and I hope you're having a good day wherever you are in the world watching this video. Thank you.